Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I'm sitting inside today to film this video because it's raining outside right now, and earlier there were landscapers and tree pruners and it was so loud outside, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna come inside and film videos today. So yeah, so here we are, and now it's like pouring down rain. So I have a few meditations that I want to read to you today. Long before the rain started today, I was sitting outside this morning and I was drinking my coffee. And I read about 8 meditation books, and 2 of them really spoke to me, and about 2 completely different things. So I wanted to share them with you. So when I read meditation books in the morning, all of these like little, well, the 2 that I'm going to read to you today are from the Meditations for Living in Balance, Daily Solutions for People Who Do Too Much. And then also the Soul's Companion, Connecting with the Soul Through Daily Meditations. So I'm going to read these to you, but when all these little books that I have like this, that I read, these daily affirmation books, I call them meditation books, but daily affirmation books or whatever, all of them that I read, and all of them, you know, are about different things, like self-worth, self-esteem, which I like to refer to as self-concept, recovery, sobriety, living happy, happiness, positivity, you know, relationships, grief. I read about all different kinds of things, right? But when I'm reading them, if I read, like, let's say, I don't know, I typically read between like 6 and 8 a day. It's interesting because, like, sometimes I'll read them and, like, none of them will speak to me, right? Like, I'll just be like, I'll read one and I'll be like, next, 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 next. You know, none of them really speak to me, right? But then there will be days where every single one of them speaks to me. And the other thing that's weird is when they're written by all completely different authors and things like that, what's interesting sometimes is when they'll all kind of talk about the same thing. Where you pick up 6 books, right? And all 6 books are about humility or gratitude. And then you're like, okay, so this is the universe speaking to me. This is my higher power speaking to me, that I really need to be working on humility or patience or gratitude or love today, right? And so I kind of get that message through that. But what's interesting, mostly, what is interesting and what mostly happens is that there will be 1 or 2 meditations that I read that really kind of speak to me. And those are the meditations that I kind of carry throughout the day, and those are the things that I practice specifically for the day. And in all actuality, those are kind of the days that are the most helpful to me. Because I'll read like 1 meditation, and 1 meditation out of the 6, I'll be like, okay, this is the message that I was supposed to hear today, you know? Or that's why I'll start these videos often and I'll say, okay, let's see what the universe has to say to us. Or I'll read 2 of them, right? And 2 of them will really speak to me. And so then what I do is, I keep the meditation books out, like on my kitchen counter or my kitchen island, and then as I'm like walking in and out and doing things throughout the day, I'll like glance back at the meditation. I keep it open like this and lay it down, and I'll glance back at it and refer to it and remind myself, so that I keep on working on that throughout the day. So I want to read these 2 to you. They're interesting because they're so completely different. This one is comes across as a little religious or a little spiritual, but the message is so fantastic in it that I want to read it to you. But we're going to get to that in just a second. The first one I want to read to you is from The Soul's Companion, Connecting with the Soul Through Daily Meditations. And this is one of my favorite meditation books, and my mom gave it to me, and she inscribed it, and I think I gave her a copy of one too. And it goes in here at the very beginning. It talks about spiritual growth as a process, and it talks about spiritual and personal growth as a process. It happens one day at a time. Each day we carve out a few minutes of quiet time in order to remove ourselves from the pressures and anxieties of everyday life, to calm down and tune in on the deeper pulse of living. When we do this on a regular basis, we build up a reservoir of inner quiet that we can draw on throughout our day. The daily readings in this book will help you to focus your mind, and I love that so much, right? And it goes on here to talk about soul, and our souls are waiting for us to know them, and through them, the souls that contain all life. No one can know soul for us. Soul discovery is our own brave and courageous voyage, and I love that so much. And it goes in here and talks about all the different things that you're going to find. Oh, and it goes in here and talks about how to use this book. I've never looked at this part before, and it talks about journal. It gives assignments in here. Oh, maybe we should do a whole video on that. That's what I'll do tomorrow, maybe, is I'll do a whole video on that, on these assignments in here. Because I've never looked at these before. Find a picture that speaks to you and write a monologue imagining what you're saying inside yourself from the point of view of the you in the picture. Oh, these are great assignments. Because people are always talking about writing prompts and what should I write in my journal and things like that. So maybe I'll read these tomorrow. Okay. So here's the meditation for today, and I love the discussion of perfection, and I'll get to it in just a second, but it's August 17th, the dream of perfection. One of the surest paths towards feelings of inadequacy and an inability to move forward in life is to set unrealistic goals for myself. That is, to have standards that represent getting there, that are so high that I always fall short. More likely, the effect of these overly high standards will be to keep me from ever beginning, because the point of arrival looks too far away, and I cannot imagine how to find and take all the intermediate steps. Today I will be realistic. I know that there is no such thing as perfect. Today I will be realistic. I know there is no such thing as perfect. So why should I worry about getting there? There is the here and now, and when I get there, it will be that day's here and now. I recognize that perfection is only an illusion, and I will learn to take daily pleasure and fulfillment from the process I live in today. We have trained men to think of the future as a promised land. This is from C.S. Lewis. We have trained men to think of the future as a promised land which favored what heroes attain, not as something which anyone and everyone reaches at the rate of 60 minutes an hour, whatever he does, whoever he is. And I love that so much, right? Because I think for so much of my life, it was constantly this goal to attain perfection, like do the best in my job, do the best at this, do the best at that, lose the most weight, look the best you possibly can, right? It was always this like strive for perfection. And a couple years ago, I've shared this story, but I was in this group, like it was myself and several women that were in this group during the lockdown, where we would get together once a week and we would read recovery-based literature. And the topic for one of it was like we were reading Drop the Rock, which is about character defects in recovery. And we were talking about perfectionism and the idea of perfectionism. And I can remember I made some comment. I don't really remember what I said. My nose is itching like crazy. I apologize. But I made some comment about like I always strive for perfection or whatever, and whatever. And I said something about perfectionism, and I'm a perfectionist and whatever. And one of my friends, and we would talk directly to each other. You don't do that in 12-step meetings, but we would talk to each other directly in this group. And she said, Peter, like I just have to call BS on that. Like none of us are perfect. We're not perfect. Okay. We do our best, but like if you truly believe in a higher power, then your higher power is your perfect example. Like you're never going to reach that, right? So to say that I'm a perfectionist is kind of like this non-belief in a higher power kind of attitude. And she was saying all this stuff to me, and I was like, wow, that's really true. When I think of this meditation and this idea of like taking it one day at a time and one step at a time, when I think about like weight loss for me, and all of these fad diets I've done through the years, I've done the cabbage soup diet, and I've done every single diet that's out there, right? And really what worked for me best was when I was living a healthy lifestyle and being active, and I got from like 240 pounds to like 170 pounds. This is, 15, 20 years ago. And I literally took it 5 pounds at a time. And I would be like, okay, I'm 240, I want to get to 235. And I didn't think, because when it talks about like this large amount, it's like it's too hard for us to kind of understand how big that goal is. So I wouldn't look at the big goal. I wouldn't look at the bigger picture, right? I would only look at 5 pounds at a time. And that was always my goal, was to get to 235. And then when I got to 235, then my goal was to get to 230. And then my goal was to get to 225. But it was never like, my goal was never to be at 235 and to get to 180, Like, yes, I have goals today, and this is contradictory to what I'm saying about like, my doctors want me to be a certain way. There are certain goals that I would like to be at. But even today, in my mind's eye, my goal is to eat healthy for today. To do the best that I can do for today. And I think it's very much a 12-step point of view. Like when we work steps, you don't work the first step thinking about the 10th step. You work the steps in order, They're in order for a reason. And so when I think about that and I think about achieving goals, it's like each goal along the way kind of leads to the next. And this idea of we're always going to get there, it's like, when you like are getting excited about Christmas or a vacation or summer or whatever, and then like I said this last year about like waiting for summer, because I was like, I can't wait till summer. I can't wait till summer. I can't wait till the pool's open. I can't wait till I can sit on my front porch and whatever, right? But at the same time, I would say this in my vlog, but at the same time, like I didn't want to miss out on all of those days leading up to it, because those days were important as well, you know? And so it's really about learning to live in the present. And I so hard struggle with that because I get excited. Like, you know, my husband and I were texting back and forth today because he left for San Diego and he's out there for a work conference, and he was like getting measured for his tux for the wedding, for my brother-in-law's wedding. And he was like, okay, and this is when we're going to come out here, and this is blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And so and I was like, okay, thinking about the wedding, you know, and like arranging this and arranging that. And I was like, okay, just enjoy your day with your dog today. You know, just enjoy the fact that you're getting stuff done early and you're going to get to sit outside and listen to your cozy mystery and drink some coffee and have a great afternoon. Just like, let's just live in today, right? And I have to remind myself of that. I have to work on that, right? Because we're not promised tomorrow. And I don't want to lose all of my todays focusing on 6 weeks down the road, you know, or like when you go on a vacation and the vacation is over like that, and then you're like so let down. I can remember as a kid, like being so excited for Christmas, and then Christmas Day at 2 o'clock, I'd be so sad. I would be like, what happened? Like, you know, it's all over now, you know, instead of living in the spirit of it, like each and every day leading up to it and being so excited. So I have to be very careful of that, you know. Let me put this book over here. All right, so good meditation. Let me read the next meditation. This is from the Meditations for Living in Balance, Daily Solutions for People Who Do Too Much. And, okay, August 17th. Now, like I said, this one reads a little religious or spiritual, but it's the end message that I want you guys to hear, okay? So this is from August 17th, and the title is Prayer. It doesn't matter what things you pray for. It's always better to pray for people. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say that if you're somebody that is not spiritual or religious or doesn't believe in prayer, you can kind of train. Like, back in the day when I struggled, this is how I learned to kind of see through religiosity and spirituality of like in books and things like that when I struggled through it, is that you can like translate it to positive thought or positive affirmations, you know? So like for you, if you're not somebody that believes in prayer, I do believe in prayer, but if you're not, then you can see it as positive thought that you're putting out there in the universe. You don't have to be a religious or a spiritual person to believe in positive thought, right? So just translate it to that. Okay. Have you tried praying today? Or, okay, wait, it says, it doesn't matter what things you pray for, it's always better to pray for people. And that's from Susan. I don't know who Susan is. I love when they put that in here. They always put like, oh, tomorrow's is an Alice Walker quote. No person is your friend who demands your silence or denies your right to grow. Oh, I love that. But it's always like Susan, or the day before it was Anne. Just one person, you know. I love when it says that in here. Anyway, now I can't find one. Now it's like Zen proverb, and it's got all these famous people. Phyllis Diller. Where is it? Just one person. Oh, here's Aristotle, Voltaire. Well, I need another Susan or a Jim or something. All these famous people. Did I just find the two? Oh, Sally. Sally! You guys, I swear to God, it's like you cannot make this up, okay? Because you know I use the name Sally in all my videos. Sally's quote is, one of the myths I live by is that somehow, someday, I'll get everything done. And I swear to God, you guys, it says right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says Sally right there. I love that. Okay. Prayer. Have you tried praying lately? In many circles, praying is a bit out of style. It's done only in extreme circumstances of life and death. In other circles, praying has become a meaningless mumbo-jumbo of mindless ritual, full of words with little heart. Some say that the simplest prayers, such as a single word, and this is what I was taught in early recovery. They should call recovery requiry. Some say that the simplest prayers, such as a single word, help, are best. So when I first got sober, my sponsor told me to get down on my knees and at night and say thanks, and get down on my knees in the morning and say help. Others believe, because I didn't have any idea of how to pray, others believe that we have to be taught to pray and that certain rituals and procedures work best. Still, others are so frightened off by all of this, they don't go near prayer. Now, I can tell you today what I do with my higher power, and like I said, you don't have to have a higher power, that's just my choice, right? But today with my higher power that I choose to call God, I have more of a conscious conversation. There are some ritual prayers that I do. I say the Lord's Prayer every night. I say the Serenity Prayer, and all that kind of stuff. This will probably crack some people up, but I still say the prayer, you know, like that you say as a little kid. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. I say that every single night. I've said it since I was a kid. I don't know why I still say it, but I do. It's comforting to me, I think. It reminds me a little bit of my mom. But there are a lot of prayers that I say that are not ritualistic prayers. There's also a lot of recovery prayers that I love. But mostly my prayers exist in just talking to God. and saying to God, you know, please help me to understand this better, or please help me to find guidance, or please help me to find compassion in this situation, or forgiveness. Or God, like, I'm really struggling with this. Like, I talk to God as a friend. I really do. You know, I'll stand outside and walk Boo Radley and I'll be like, God, I don't know. Like, this is, you know, I'm really struggling with this today and I really need help. Like, show me a sign, give me something to know what to do. Or, you know, I'll say, okay, God, like, you have given me an amazing life today. I am so grateful for this life. You have no idea how blessed I feel today, you know? And that can be just a day where I'm sitting on my front porch listening to an audiobook, and I'll just be like, damn, God, you are awesome. Like, you gave me all this. Like, thank you, you know? So my prayers are very much today, I've translated into kind of me just, like, talking to God. My experience is that no one has a corner on prayer. There are so many ways to pray as there are living beings on this planet. Some say that we can live our life as a prayer. Every act and deed goes beyond ourselves into that vast mystery that is greater than ourselves. Perhaps the trees have perfected prayer as they steadfastly lift their branches skyward. What I do know, this is the important part, are you ready? What I do know is that one of the most effective prayers is a prayer for someone who has wronged you. When we can do this without piety and with sincerity and compassion, we can truly learn the lessons that this experience has to teach us and bring our lives back into balance. Try praying for someone who has wronged you sincerely. And you know, this has been something that I have struggled with for a very long time. I can remember being in early sobriety. I think I was probably about 1.5 years, 2 years sober. I can't remember honestly at this point, but I had gone somewhere and was out, and I think I was listening to a band or something like that, and I was drinking a Coke in a cup, and somebody else that I knew through other meetings saw me, said hi to me, or I think, and it's been 28 years at this point, right? 26 years or something like that. And then they told a bunch of people that they saw me drinking, which I wasn't. I was drinking a Diet Coke. And this is why today, like, ever since this experience, I've always drank bottles of water and things like that. Like, if I drink a Diet Coke, I keep my hand over it. And I very rarely, if I go out somewhere, like, I mean, at a restaurant, I'll get a Diet Coke, but not, I would, like, at a bar, like a concert or something, I usually get, like, a Red Bull or, like, a bottle of water, something that is identifiable. And it's all because of this one experience. Which I don't think that you have to do. I don't think you owe it to anybody, but, like, it just kind of has always stuck with me. So he told other people that he saw me drinking at this bar, and I was furious, and it got back to me, right? And, you know, at that time I was working in a treatment facility and things like that, and I was just, like, really livid. And I called my sponsor and I said, let me tell you about this and blah, 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 whatever. And I said something, I called him up and said something real nasty to this guy. I can't remember what I said, because he said, well, I don't ever approach people when I see them out. And he was somebody that I had kind of looked up to, because he was, like, probably, like, 5 years older than me, but he had, like, several years sober. Like, he had gotten sober when he was younger. So he was, like, kind of somebody that I looked up to at that time, and I didn't really know him that well. But I kind of wanted to be in that circle of his friends and things like that, which in retrospect, thank God I'm not. But, and he has sadly since passed, and we did make up years later. But, and I think it was because of the removal of the resentment and the anger that I had towards him. But I called him up and I said something about, like, how dare you, and blah, blah, blah. And I was, like, very nasty on the phone. And he was like, well, I don't ever approach people when I see them out if they're drinking. Like, I always just, like, tell other people because I'm worried about them. And I go, that is, like, so screwed up. Like, why would you not come to that person and be like, I'm concerned about you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, this is just always the policy that I've had, and whatever. It was whatever. So anyway, I called my sponsor and I was like, and I am so blah, 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 whatever, and yada, 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 and I'm done. I'm never talking to him again. And he goes, no, what you're going to do is you're going to get down on your knees every night. You're going to pray for him. And I go, what? He goes, you're going to get down on your knees every night and you're going to pray for him, and you're going to pray for the resentment to be removed. And you're going to pray for him to have all those things in life that you want. Oh, the hell I am. I'm not praying for him. I don't want him to have the things I want. I want to be better than him. Trust, right? He was like, no. Because you have to want for others the same things that you want for yourself, even for those people that you don't get along with, right? Because you would want them to want the same things for you. And you have to pass on love, and you have to pass on forgiveness and kindness. So you're going to get on your knees every single night until that resentment is removed, and you're going to pray for that other person. And I was like, okay, if you're going to tell me I'm going to do it, I'll do it. And so I did, and I can remember doing it, and it was like a month or two that I did it, like, every single night. I can remember at first I was so resentful, I was so pissed. And that was when I got down on my knees, and I kind of go through phases in my life where I feel like I need to, and other times I don't. Right now I'm in one of these periods where I don't feel like I need to get on my knees. I feel like God hears me everywhere. But that might change. I don't know. But, you know, I can remember getting on my knees. I can see myself in my apartment, like leaning on my couch, like praying for this guy and being like, God, please let the resentment to be removed. And I wish him all the things that I want in my life. And I wish him blessings and goodness and love. And you know what? The weirdest thing happened. After about a month and a half or 2 months, I kind of forgot to do the prayer. Like, I started kind of forgetting to do the prayer. And I kind of started forgetting about him. And I remember my sponsor asked me and said, like, so what happened with this guy? Have you seen him? And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot all about that, right? Like, it had gone by. Because those things that, like, are really serious to us at one moment, like a month or two down the road or 2 years down the road. This is why I love the saying that feelings are not facts. Because you have a right to your feelings, but feelings are not facts. So do not make decisions. And this is something I just recently kind of fully understood the whole behind. Do not make decisions today based on feelings in your life that will affect your life 2 years down the road, because your feelings might change, right? You know, and time went by and I kind of forgot that it had kind of happened. And I really truly believe that me every night praying for the resentment to remove allowed the resentment to be removed, you know? Was it on a spiritual level? Was it just the active thought? I don't know, you know, but it worked. Whatever it did, it worked. So today, you know, and I've shared this in other videos and me talking about being harassed and being stalked, like, I pray for those people. I believe they're sick people. I pray for them to get well. I pray for them to have the things that I want in my life, which is hard at times, you know, that somebody that's so intent on taking you down that you would pray for them to have love and kindness and good wishes and blessings in their life. But I do. I pray for those things, right? I have to. I try to see them as human beings. People that have wronged me in my life. I've had a lot of people that have wronged me. I've wronged a lot of people, you know, and I hope that they would grant me the same forgiveness and the same understanding that I would grant them, hopefully, you know. And I'm not a perfect example of that today, but I aim to be that. And if I aim to be that, then I have to do the work towards that, you know. And I'm doing the best that I can do. And part of it for me is conscious thought in the direction of love and forgiveness towards those people, you know? It doesn't mean that I have to forget what they did. It doesn't mean that I have to be best buddies with them again or forget what they did or, you know, act as if it never happened or not, like in the situation I'm talking about with harassment, not pursue things behind the scenes legally. But it does mean that I can emotionally forgive them, you know, that I can grant them the same love and kindness that I would grant a sick person. Not that I forget it, but that I can forgive them and that I can love them and I can pray for them, you know, in the same similar way that I would want people to do for me. And, you know, I only have one chance here on this earth. I don't want to spend it full of hatred and anger towards other people that have wronged me. And if, you know, much of the time when people have wronged me in my life in the past, they've rent space in my head for free, you know. I have spent much more time thinking about them than they have ever thought of me. And so it really is detrimental to my life, not theirs. And if me praying on it or me sending love in their direction or whatnot really helps that situation, then I am more than willing to do that. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was such an important meditation, and I really liked that this morning. It's something that I need to be reminded of on a regular basis. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.